Hello class, we're going to look at a problem on dividing polynomials. Before we do that, we're going to maybe do a little review of dividing just so we remember some of the steps, because the steps from before when we divided by hand without the calculator are some of the same steps we're going to use for the problem we're going to work. Alright, so off in the little box here I have 124 divided by 2. So when we do this by hand, we're going to take the numerator, which is the 124, and we're going to put it inside, and the denominator goes out front. Now, the first thing we did was we went ahead and figured out, well, 2 doesn't go into 1, so we moved to the 12. So we went 12 divided by 2, that gives us 6. So a 6 goes up top. And then I took the 6 times the 2, and that gave me the 12. And remember that we always subtracted. So we subtract, we get 0, bring down the 4, and then we start the process all over. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. And we go and put a 2 up here. 2 times 2 is 4. And then again we subtract and we get 0. So if we ended up with a remainder of 0, we knew that it divided evenly, which means it's a factor. So let's try to apply these steps to what we're working with here. What you need to be careful with as you're writing these is you want to make sure we're not missing any terms. And what I mean by that is you want to look at the powers and make sure they go down by 1 each time. So we have the k to the 4th, k to the 3rd. Notice k squared is missing. So when I rewrite this as 45k to the 4th plus 6k cubed, I'm going to put a placeholder in of plus 0k squared plus 2k minus 5. So that's going to be on the inside. Now what I'm dividing by, we have a 3k squared. Notice that I'm missing the k, so I'm going to have a plus 0k plus 1. Alright, so now that we have it set up properly, here's the process. We're going to take this first term and divide it by the first term. So I'm going to take 45k to the 4th, and I'm going to divide it by 3k squared. 45 divided by 3 is 15. K to the 4th divided by k squared. Subtract the powers, and we get a k squared. So I have 15k squared as my first number up top. Now, just like we did before, after we found that number, we multiplied it in. Well, when I go through and I multiply this, I have to multiply it by all 3 parts. So I'm going to multiply it by the 3k squared, which gives me 45k to the 4th. 15k squared times 0 gives me 0k to the 3rd. And then 15k squared times 1 gives me plus 15k squared. Now I go through and I'm going to subtract, but what ends up happening is we're actually subtracting this entire part. So when I subtract it, I need to distribute it in, which means that all of these are going to change signs. This one's going to become a negative 45. This is a 0. It doesn't matter for the 0 since it's not going to change anything. But in the back, we end up with a minus 15k squared. So when I subtract these, we get 0. Those should cancel out if you've done it correctly. 6k cubed minus 0 is still 6k cubed. Go ahead and 0k squared minus 15k squared. So we get minus 15k squared, and bring down the plus 2k. That's the entire process. Now we just keep repeating it until we run out of parts. So I'm going to take the 6k cubed, divide it by the 3k. And it equals 2k squared. So the 2k squared goes up here, it's positive, so plus 2k squared. And now we multiply this by all three parts. So 2k squared times 3k squared is... Did I miss one here? Oh, this should have been a square here, which means that should have been a 1. So I forgot the exponent on the denominator there. It should be a 3k squared we're dividing by. So we get a power of 1. And the reason that I caught that while I was going through the process is when I was multiplying it, it was going to give me a k to the 4th, and notice we're down to k cubed. So that told me there was something wrong. So I went back and double checked. Okay, so we've taken 6k cubed divided by 3k squared. 6 divided by 3 gives me the 2. 3 minus 2 gives me the 1. Now I'm going to take 2k, multiply it through, so that gives me 6k cubed, which is what I'm looking for. I want those to reduce. 2k times 0, again that's a plus 0k squared. And 2k times 1 is a plus 2k. Again, I'm going to subtract this entire thing. So what I like to do is I just go through and change the signs. They were all positive, so now they're all negative. Again, these should reduce out to give you 0. We get a negative 15k squared. Again, that gives us 0. We bring down the last number, which is a minus 5. And let's go ahead and divide again. So we're going to take the negative 15k squared, and we're going to divide it by the 3k squared again. And negative 15 divided by 3 gives me negative 5. K is reduced, so we're just left with negative 5. Go ahead and multiply the negative 5 through, which gives me negative 15k squared plus the 0k minus 5. And then again, we're going to subtract everything, so we change the sign. So notice this one's already negative, so that means it would become a positive. This one become a negative, and that would become a positive. Well, negative 15k squared plus 15k squared, that reduces to 0. And negative 5 plus 5 gives me 0. So since I found that this results in 0, then I found that this is a factor. This trinomial here is a factor of this polynomial, okay, if you get the remainder of 0. And the result of what we're factoring, or sorry, what we're dividing is the 15k squared plus 2k minus 5. I hope that gives you a little help for answering this D key or working through some homework.